Welcome to the You Are a Philanthropist podcast. Today we're talking with Jenna Hermans. Jenna Hermans is living proof that you can create a life of calm within chaos and overwhelm. She uses her bachelor's degree in psychology, master's degree in organizational management, and over 15 years of human resources experience to build strong teams, both at work and at home. Jenna is the co-founder and COO of Be Courageous, a transformation agency, a busy mom of four, a coach, and an author. As seen in Forbes, The Sun, Elle, Yahoo, Insider, and more, Jenna takes an intentional and inclusive approach to help people, especially parents, and businesses implement tools that put organization and systems around the busy lives that infuse calm and more joy, helping them go from chaos to calm, which doubles as the title of her debut book that launched in May 2023.
You are the kind of person who wants to improve the lives of others, but you need to take pride in your everyday actions. You Are a Philanthropist believes that every act of goodwill deserves to be recognized as philanthropy. Each individual action you take impacts another's life. Believe that what you do makes a difference. So call yourself a philanthropist and start a ripple effect of generosity that boomerangs back to you. Go to youareaphilanthropist.com/shop. Style your outside to match your inside. Choose a t-shirt, hoodie, or bag to show how much you love giving to others. That's youareaphilanthropist.com/shop.
Hey y'all, I just want to remind you that I need you to subscribe, rate, and review to this podcast. If you're enjoying it and want more conversations like this and want to help people get more involved with philanthropy, please subscribe, rate, and review. I want to thank you to the people who have already rated this podcast 5 stars. Please click to rate it 5 stars. And here is some awesome reviews. I love hearing the different stories from a variety of people's personalities. We all can contribute with the strengths we have in making the world a better place for all of us to live in. Here's another one. I really enjoy this podcast. It's encouraging to see that I don't have to be a multimillionaire who created a philanthropic foundation to impact people. It's my small gifts of my time and resources that add up. I am a philanthropist. And here's another. There are opportunities all around at an early age to remind us to look out for each other. It's a lifelong journey of seeing the opportunities and acting in them. Thanks for a great reminder. Listeners, please do me a favor, subscribe, rate, and review right now so more people can hear more from us and learn more about philanthropy.
Welcome to the You Are a Philanthropist podcast with Jen Klein, a certified fundraising executive and philanthropic entrepreneur. This show is dedicated to empowering and inspiring you to make a difference in your community and our world. Jen believes all acts of kindness matter, and this show is designed to help you take pride in your everyday actions of improving the lives of others and making a change in the world. Now, here's Jen.
Jenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. There's some great overlap between what we both write in our books, and your book specifically is about chaos to calm. Can you tell me about how you got started with Chaos to Calm?
Absolutely. It's because I lived it. I got started because I was in deep chaos and needed to find a way through that. I was living in constant overwhelm from the moment I woke up to the moment I put my head on the pillow at night. Every day felt incredibly overwhelming to the point where I was having pretty consistent panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And this was when my children were the big 3 were in elementary school and the youngest was a baby. And so it was a really challenging time. So I needed to go from this place, right, where I was kind of barely surviving to it was rather not I needed to, but I chose to go from this place of barely surviving to one where I felt like I was actually enjoying my life and living it instead of, just making it through each day.
As a mother of just two, I understand what you're talking about. I stayed home with my kids for almost 6 years, and it was definitely challenging. And it's also the inspiration between why I stayed involved in my career with my podcast and my blog, because I needed that balance. Can you talk about how you found the balance?
Yeah, I made a list of all the things that just stress me out every day. That's where I started. And from that list, chose one, right? What's one thing that every single day causes me so much stress and overwhelm? And if I could tackle that one thing and get that under control, then I could move to the next thing and then the next thing. So I started with food and feeding the kids. That was the thing that I found every single day being such a stressor, and specifically dinner time. That dinner every single day, right? We have to feed them every day without fail. Yet it was a surprise. Every day come, 4 o'clock. What are we going to have for dinner? Like, oh my God, again, I have to think about this. So getting really clear on how to support that task every day really helped just lay the foundation of progress, of being able to move forward, knowing that I can do one thing at a time. And what I did with the meals and with dinner specifically was I started a meal planner, and every Sunday would go through the house. What food do we have, right? What meals can I make with this food? And then, okay, within those meals, what are some other things we need to get? Make that list, grocery shop against that list, and come 4 o'clock every day. I know what I'm going to make. It's not a stressor anymore, and would just make it. Oh, it was such a relief. And then there was all this space for more, right? That one little thing or seemingly little thing, that little shift created so much more space and energy for, all right, I'm okay. I can do more of this.
That's beautiful. I can totally relate to the challenges of putting dinner on the table, and the blessing that dinner on the table is to your family, and how vital it is to the family dynamic when you're all sitting down to a nice meal, having conversation. It is a grounding component of the day for families.
Absolutely. And I think, days are so busy, and our kids, ourselves, we keep ourselves so busy and our kids so busy. So dinner is truly that one time of day that we all come together and are able to spend time without distraction, without anything else that we need to do. There's no agenda other than being together and enjoying a meal.
That's beautiful. I know my kids look forward to our family dinner with their dad and their busy mom, and in between their soccer practices. And I'm just so glad that you focused on that seemingly small piece that had such a big impact. And for me, when I think about a philanthropist, I think about mothers and fathers who are giving back to their children, but they also need to give back to themselves in equal measure so that they can take care of themselves. Can you talk about ways mothers and fathers can take care of themselves and to be able to give back?
Absolutely. There's, different, I'd say, levels and interpretations of the concept of self-care, right? And often as busy parents, we tend to forget the basics. And so often when I get asked the question of, I'm so overwhelmed, everything is just too much. Where do I even start? And I say, go back to the basics, right? The fundamentals of self-care. And what that looks like is all the things that we actually do for our children, but we don't prioritize for ourselves. And that includes sleep, right? Making sure you're getting sufficient sleep. Unlike our children, whom when they are sleep deprived are, maniacs the next day. We would also be maniacs, but we have a fully functioning prefrontal cortex. We've got executive functioning, so we're able to mask that a lot better. But if we didn't have that, I mean, we'd be maniacs also. Another element is eating well, nourishing ourselves, hydrating our bodies, right? There's a huge fad around water bottles, which is so great. We make sure our kids take water bottles, they play dates to the park, here, there, school. Same for us to have our own water bottle and to drink from it. Another is exercise, movement, right? We know for our kids, if they don't get a chance to move, they're bouncing off the walls, right? So giving us permission to move as well. And when I say that, I don't mean, oh my gosh, you have to go enroll in a gym and work out 45 minutes to an hour every day. It's smaller increments, especially when just getting started. If you're going from a place of like, oh, what is exercise? Oh, walking up and down the stairs. That's enough exercise for me. To maybe you just walk around the block after lunch, right? Or after dinner, and maybe take your family with you. It could look like you wake up in the morning and you do a 2-minute stretch routine, or, you do a couple of squats or jumping jacks just to get you flowing, get you going. So movement is a big thing as well.
That's beautiful. I'm so happy that you impact so many people with taking care of themselves. And I'm curious what you enjoy about helping your clients.
Ooh, what I enjoy is the permission that they give themselves to feel empowered in taking care of themselves, and knowing that when they take care of themselves, they're actually better taking care of their families, right? It's all connected. By giving that permission and that open invitation, right? The guilt is still something that we work with, right? That's really hard to work through that guilt. But when clients see that transformation, when they see the aha and the click for themselves, after they've taken some time to practice caring for themselves and seeing the positive impact that that has on their family and on their children specifically, and on their marriage, right? Friendships, it's profound, truly profound.
I love that you have a heart for helping families and parents, and that is your specialty. Can you tell me how you got started?
I got started when I got asked about a year and a half after I began my calm journey, so to speak, or exiting the chaos journey. Our youngest child was starting preschool for the first time. Well, yeah, of course, you don't start preschool a second time, potentially. He was starting preschool. And in that space, I have found that parents want to get to know each other, right? They're thinking, and me as well, right? We might be traveling through the next, it's 14 years or more together, preschool to elementary school, middle school, high school, right? Our kids might be friends, we might be friends and know each other for a long time. So people are eager to build community with other families that have kids the same age. So we were, getting to know each other. Where are you from? What do you do? How many kids do you have? All of that. And I was sharing with these families. We have 4 kids. My husband travels for our business. I work full time. I'm from Los Angeles. My husband's from South Africa. And people go, wait. So you're up here working full time. Your husband travels. You have 4 kids. You must have hired help. And I go, no, I don't. Like, well, you must have, people around that can help you, right? Even if it's not hired help, you must have a big supportive community. And I go, not yet. No, no, I don't. I'm doing this all on my own because we were still pretty fresh into living in the Bay Area, which is where we live. And, it was so fascinating hearing from these families, these parents, with them saying that they had fewer responsibilities and more resources, but were so overwhelmed and stressed. And I had more responsibilities and fewer resources, and I was keeping my cool. I was holding my own, or at least seemingly that way. And I said, well, you should have seen me 18 months ago because I was not that way then. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of intentionality to move from that place to where I am now. And, I kept getting asked questions. What did you do? How do you do it? What do you do in this circumstance and that circumstance? And all those answers ended up being the kind of the skeleton of the book, Chaos to Calm. And it was fascinating because going through this process of answering those questions of things that I had never really thought about in any other way other than I'm just trying to keep my feet on the ground and my head screwed on straight, turned out to be I don't want to call it a curriculum, but sort of, right? A curriculum on how to reduce the overwhelm and stress of everyday life as a busy parent. And coaching naturally came from there. And when the book came out, a lot of people started reaching out for more support.
That's wonderful. I love that you first internalized what you had learned and then shared the knowledge and the wealth and helped other people. Can you tell me what your source of inspiration is for helping others?
I have always loved helping others, and I'm not quite sure where the source comes from. Maybe, it must be somewhere from childhood, some memories that I can't access right now. My mother has always been a giver, and my grandfather as well. And so I imagine having just grown up in a home where we spend a lot of effort and energy on community and making sure that people in our community and in our bigger family are cared for, right? That really instilled a sense of collective unity inside of me and wanting to make sure that if I've learned something that is beneficial, then to share that out.
That's beautiful. I love how important community is to you and growing it for yourself and for your clients. And I'm curious if you have any advice for our listeners about how they can get started with helping others and bringing chaos to calm in their own lives.
Yeah, I would say if there's something that makes you feel good, right? There's something inside of you that makes you feel good. How can you share that out? How is there a way to put that in a modality that can be shared with others? Because by being able to give of something of yours that brings you joy, it comes naturally then to want to keep doing that. Right. So, and it could be, that you love to bake potentially, right? I don't know. Baking, or you love to connect, you love to play games. There are so many ways to then bring that joy to others, right? Going to, let's say, an old age home and playing games with the elderly community, right? If you love to bake, you can go and take that to local churches or to the local schools and for the teacher's lounge, right? That if it brings you joy to share it out or just to even leave on people's doorsteps, right? There are so many opportunities to spread joy.
That's wonderful. I follow you on Instagram, and I know you personally like to bake and you have made challah bread. Can you tell me about how that got started?
Yeah, so I grew up in a Jewish home, and I never really associated with the religiosity of Judaism, but the culture and the traditions. have really stuck with me. And Shabbat, the Sabbath for Jewish culture, tradition, religion, being Friday night through Saturday night, we would always have challah, which is an egg bread, a baked egg bread, very fluffy, and it's braided. It's very beautiful. We would have that every Friday, and there was a moment for a long time. I would purchase challah every week for us to have for Shabbat, and a friend of mine here shared that she makes challah every week. And I thought, ooh, what a beautiful tradition of something that you can that to make it yourself, right? And that seemed like a fun activity. I've always enjoyed baking and cooking. So I thought, oh, that'll be fun. She showed me how to make it. I found my own recipe that really worked for me and made it one time and thought, wow, this is really fun, and started making it every week. Granted, the first time I made it, it came out really bad. And then the second and the third, I mean, it was really crappy for a long time. But I would learn from each iteration, week over week, how to make it better, learn from each time. And it became a really joyous activity for me, to the point where I would start doubling and tripling the amount that I would make and would give to others. Because for Shabbat in our home, we love to invite people in. You know, anyone who wants to come for Shabbat, the door is always open. Be welcome. And so people would eat the challah and say, oh my gosh, this is so good. And if someone was a neighbor, I would go and drop it off at their doorstep. Or if I knew that they enjoyed my challah and they'd come to have Shabbat with us, I'd give them a challah to take home with them. And it became a thing. And I just love doing it. It brings me joy. It brings me joy to see someone enjoy the challah. And I will also ask my children, what kind of challah would you like this week? And what should we make? Or should we try something new? And it becomes a family engaged experience as well. And then, after I've made it, they try it and I say, all right, feedback. How was it this week? How did it go? And some weeks are great and some not so much. And I still learn from every failure, or not failure, but every iteration.
That's beautiful. I'm not the baker in my family, but I do appreciate being on the receiving end of my husband's baking skills. So I know exactly how your kids and family and friends felt when you were generous and gave them the challah you had made for them. I'm curious if you could share a little bit about your thoughts on the dynamic and the synergy between giving and receiving.
Oh, yes. I believe it's a virtuous cycle, right? And additionally, as human beings, we must receive in order to give, right? Whether that be physically, right? Like we need to put in food. We have to put food in, energy in order to move the body, activate and do the things that we want to do with this body. But also, right? And as your podcast is about, right? It's an energetic giving and receiving as well. And I actually just experienced for me, it was a pretty profound moment of receiving just this past weekend, and realizing that I desired in my core to have more receiving, because I'm a big giver. I give, and I love to give. But there was a part of me that was feeling unreplenished, I guess.
Yes.
And I had these women around me who were holding space for me in this emotion. I was very emotional, and they all held me in this space to just give to me, to give me nurturing, to give me love, to give me time and attention. And I didn't realize how much I needed that and how much I wanted to receive as much as I give.
Wow, that's wonderful. It's something that I have been trying to get across in my podcast, and I don't think someone has put it so succinctly. So I really appreciate you sharing that dynamic, because I know that there are people out there who are givers and yet need to receive. And I know that is an active verb, to receive, because it does take energy to be on the receiving end.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments of doubt, right? Of me feeling undeserving, right? Oh, everyone's so busy. They have other things that they should be do. I don't deserve to be given this time and attention. But truly, if they wanted to be somewhere else, they would have been, right? If they wanted to do something else, they would have. They wanted to be there with me and give. They wanted to give, and they saw how much I wanted to receive. And it was so beautiful. And it was active. It was me actively working through the the thinking of wanting to actually push them away and say, go, no, no, you have other things that are more important. I'm not as important as other things right now. Go do the more important things. And I had to actively not say that out loud and to not push them away and to allow the receiving. It was hard, but it was exactly what I needed, because I came out of that experience so much lighter, so much freer, because my cup was fuller. I had received, and just it was like a big cloud had been lifted. It was glorious.
That's beautiful. I'm so happy that you have friends and family who can support you in that way. And I hope we all have family and friends who can do that for us, to help us fill our cup, especially when we are givers and need to give to I usually say give to ourselves, because sometimes you don't have the resources for people to give back to you. So you need to practice that self-care, like we talked about earlier. I know that as a fellow published author, that your book, Chaos to Calm, was a huge gift putting into the world to us and your readers. Can you talk to us about the writing process and how you put that love and energy into your book?
Yeah, the way that I wrote my book, I think, is atypical. I wrote in a way that was incredibly kind and compassionate to me. I wrote slowly and intentionally. It took, I don't know, I think I spent about a year, maybe more, writing. Whenever inspiration struck, that's when I would write. And it felt good. It was a sensation of release, and where I had these thoughts in my mind and I thought, this would be great. Let me put it down. Or even a state of processing. Oh, a thought shows up. Let me work through this thought. There are nuggets in here. There's gold in here. And after I had all of these thoughts and all of these notes written down, it was at that point that I then organized it, right? I distilled through all of them. Like, what is all of this? Like, are there any themes here? Because I didn't know when I started writing that this book was about going from chaos to calm. I didn't know what it was at all, actually. I just started writing. And through that process of kind of filtering through all the different notes, there were themes that emerged. And those themes became the chapters of the book. And the chapters are the 5 pillars of calm, which are efficiency, habits, community, communication, and self-care. So figuring out those themes and then organizing the content under those themes was how the structure of the book began.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to read it. I love to ask my podcast guests my favorite question, which is, if you could wave a magic wand, what would your vision be for a better world?
I would wish for all beings, humans specifically with their intellect, right, that they feel worthy of taking up space and the and know their power, their influence, that their presence is a gift. And by being able to just be and be present with others, that is a gift. And that is them being able to give just in their presence, just in their being, just by taking up space, by allowing themselves to take up space, that is their gift.
That's so true. We all are a gift to the world, that's for sure. With our innate value and worth, as you said, I don't think someone has put it more succinctly about how valuable each of us is and how there's so much power and gifts that we have been gifted with and that we can gift the world with.
Yeah. It's truly amazing when every single person could live into their power and see their life and existence as as powerful and unique and special and divine, that their presence makes impact.
Absolutely, my friend. I'm curious if you have any parting wisdom to share that we haven't already discussed. You've been a great guest. I'm so glad you shared about how you enjoy to help others, your passion for helping others, and your wisdom. What else would you like to leave my listeners with?
I would love to leave your listeners with the idea that with any change that you're wanting to create or transformation, that it starts, that it is successful when you start small. You don't need a huge overhaul. Just start small, start so tiny, and then you build from there. That's what builds lasting change and transformation.
That's beautiful, Jenna. Can you tell me how my listeners can find you and your book?
Yes, so I have a website called jennahermans.com. There are free resources on there for you, different downloadables, and soon there'll be videos to access as well. You can find my book anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Target, Barnes and Noble, anywhere. If your local bookstore doesn't already have it in stock, you can ask them to get it for you. So then you're supporting local as well. And if you're interested in transformation for your business, you can find me and our business Be Courageous at bcrgs.com, which is Be Courageous without any of the vowels.
Thank you so much, Jenna, for being my guest today. I'll have those links in the show notes on my website as well.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. This was such a pleasure.